Ireland must not be seen as an easy place to get into, says our Minister of State for European Affairs, Thomas Byrne. Immigration is going to be a huge issue as Ireland take over the European presidency. Like, about 3 years too late. It's like me taking a shite today and wiping my ass 3 years later going, I must deal with that. What happened to all our legal and moral obligations? And Ireland is a country that welcomes all. And they are fleeing war, torn persecution countries. And they are leaving because if they disclose their sexuality in that country, they'll be killed. Welcome all. What has happened? This far-right Nazi, fascist, racist country, government, I don't want to be a part of this. I distinctly remember our Taoiseach, Micheál Martin. We have legal and moral obligations to take in these people. What's happened? Are all these gone now? This is not the country I was brought up in. Now, when you see such a dramatic shift in government policy in such a short period of time, you gotta start asking questions. And that's our job as a concerned citizen. I mean, who polices the police? Who minds those in charge? That's our job because we actually put those people in power. And how is it now, after being told to shut up for so long, after being labelled and called every single name under the sun, Leo Varadkar famously said, nobody gets to veto who moves into their town and village. Well, of course, but he did, because he said, no, they're going in there and tough shit. Why is there such a seismic shift in policy? You gotta ask yourself that. So let's look outside the world to see what's really going on. And, has this happened before? And the answer is yes, straight across the channel to our neighbours, where we have a problem with immigration, where England has been, I wouldn't say taken over, but not far from it with immigration over the last couple of decades. And they said now there's a problem with immigration, so we must bring in digital ID. Why, of course. Now, the conspiracy theorists, the rabbit hole hunters, the nut jobs, like me, have turned around and said that the plan is to bring in digital ID. Why? Well, very simple. Control. Very, very simple. Control. And they're losing their grip. They're losing their little bits of grip of control. Why? Well, they had us under the cloche when they turned around and they said, climate change. Isn't it amazing how we have taxed the living shit out of every single person on climate change? How we've brought in electric cars. We've done all the green shit that they've told us to do. They've brought in all these policies. Yet the price of energy has skyrocketed and nothing has changed. Now, if you were to put that logic into any other scenario, well, you would come up with the very simple conclusion that they're talking shite. Wouldn't that be fair? You said XYZ, you said do ABC, we've done all that shit, and nothing has changed, according to you guys. Still emergencies, because panic, fear, and oh my God, the world's gonna fucking explode. Remember, we were gonna have a new ice age. Remember, we're all gonna be sucked out of the fucking atmosphere through the ozone layer, through the hole in the ozone. Remember how we were all going to die with acid rain? I'm old enough to remember being told in the 80s that by the year 2000, Baggot Street in Dublin will be completely flooded. And none of this shit has happened. Now you can argue science and science and science and science and Trump and Bill Gates and all this kind of shit, but isn't it very strange how they're still trying to push this bullshit on top of us? And now Gates has come out and said climate change is, it's no big deal. So why are they changing this policy now on immigration? Well, they have to tell us that the guys coming here are the bad guys now. They're coming in scamming. What? Did I not say this a few years ago? Did I not say that these guys are coming, claiming all their benefits, claiming all their this and that, get involved in organized crimes, gangs, all this kind of shit, doing their own kind of stuff within themselves, that this is a fucking major issue? Is nobody seen like a red flag here? And people like me were told to shut up and called every name under the sun. And now, our Taoiseach, our Taoiseach, and now Minister for State for Foreign Affairs, They're all coming out saying what any concerned citizen said 2-3 years ago. Why the huge shift? Why the huge shift in sentiment and in policy? Well, they're going to try what Keir Starmer's trying to do, right? Well, if we bring in digital ID, that'll stop them coming. What's like when they're coming over on the boats, or when they're coming down through Northern Ireland into the UK, into Ireland? What, we just all flash our digital ID and they magically turn around and go back to wherever they came from? Is that how this works? No, they can't access anything unless they have digital ID. But they don't give a fuck about that. But they can't work. But they also don't give a fuck about that. Because they're coming for all other kinds of reasons. Legal and moral obligations. Remember, that was challenged anytime you said something. But we have to do this. Now they're turning around. And here's the audacity of the government. We think we need to start charging these people who we put up for free, who we give everything for free, and we allow to work. We think we should start charging them some rent. Like, think of the discrimination in that to the common Irish guy who's working and doing everything that he's supposed to do, but he still has to pay his mortgage or his rent. Why doesn't he get his shit for free? You gotta take yourself outside of the bubble every now and then. I know, here's the thing. People wonder, like, why, how is this shit building and building and building? Because most of you watching this are fine. Most of you are, you're okay, I go to work, I get paid, put my kids into school and college. Yeah, things are a little bit tight, but you know what, we get by, so I'm fine, so I don't want to get involved in this shit. But if you want to change this shit, and if you want to change politics, the first change has to come with you. You watching this video right now. You have to stand up and be accounted for, otherwise you don't get to piss and moan. And we've seen that now with the whole spoil the vote as to how much a movement of people can change policy, can change decision making within government, because they are absolutely shitting themselves since the spoil the vote. Do you know why? Because we haven't really popped our head up yet since. And they're going, oh, bollocks, I know there's a crocodile in that river somewhere, and I need to get across there, and I have no idea where the fuck he is. What are they planning? What are they doing? Wouldn't you love to know? But the only way we change things is if we change first. And that's why we got to stand up and be accounted for. So people need to be aware of what digital ID means, and they'll turn around and they'll say, well, you have your HSE card, you have all these different types of cards. We already have digital ID, but none of them are all connected. They don't have one thing connected to everything, where I can switch you off at the press of a button once I have your digital ID card. And I've said it to you before, I'm going into my butcher's to have steak. Here's my digital ID card to pay for it. Sorry, you've had too much beef already. Bad for the planet. I'm going to fly over to, nah, not today, you're not. Sorry, you've already used up your flights for the year. I'm going to, nope, can't do that shit either. You've already used up all your credits. Boom, actually, we're going to fine you. Boom, actually, we're going to stop your money. That's digital ID. There's no way they do that. I know, I fucking know, but there's no way they were going to tax the shit out of us for the fairies in the sky of the whole climate change thing. But they did. There's no way they're going to do this, but they did. There's no way they tell you stand up, put on a mask, sit down, don't, but they did. You see, their actions cause nutjobs like me to turn around and question their very existence and their policies and their decision making. And when you take yourself out of the whole bubble and look from the outside in, you kind of go, oh fuck, that is possible. That is highly possible. With a global population expanding at a rate that they can't control, they've got to do something to control us. Digital ID. Now, is that why they have changed the entire sentiment and shift of policy on immigration? Literally overnight. Is that why? Maybe I'm batshit bonkers. I don't know. Who am I? I'm a bald, fat burger flipper that has a restaurant in Killarney that seems to know how everything goes on in the world. But I'm probably full of shit, am I? Anyway, let me know in the comments, as always, why the huge change and shift in policy to immigration from legal and moral obligations to save the world to all of a sudden, they're coming in here scamming. That's what they're now, that's what the government are now telling us. They're all coming in here scamming. Who fucking knew? Who knew? I fucking knew. Anyway, let me know in the comments. Batshit bonkers, or do I have a point? Let me know.